Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be looking through issue 35 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine, which came with the first set of parts to make 5 Chaos Space Marine Havocs for the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol. We'll be looking at their build instructions in this issue and then some more of the core rules where we're looking at combat phases before getting into our game where the Space Marines and Aeldari will be battling it out once again. So looking inside the magazine, we start with the build guide for the Havocs. They're quite similar to the Chaos Legionaries that we had before, and their bodies and legs will come as a selection of parts. The shoulder pads are all interchangeable. Some of them do have little nubs on them, so the shoulder pad fits in a certain place, but you could shave those off if you really wanted to. However, the heads and backpacks and arms are all specific for certain weapons. Like the Legionaries, the Combat Patrol has a specific weapon loadout, which in this case is 1 Reaper Chain Cannon, 1 Heavy Bolter, 1 Las Cannon, and 1 Missile Launcher. And the champion is armed with a plasma gun and chainsword. So as you can see here, the Reaper Chain Cannon has a particular backpack with some ammo drums on it and then an ammo feed that will connect in. And if you don't put it on the correct body, you might find that the leg gets in the way of the ammo feed, depending on the pose. The Heavy Bolter likewise is similar. There's a particular body that's intended for the champion with a little rock to stand on. And then the Las Cannon and Missile Launcher, and their heads actually connect into the weapon, so you do even have to choose the correct head. Since they have a little cable going from the helmet into the gun. Then we have some more lore about Chaos Renegades. So while we've learnt about the traitor legions of Chaos Space Marines who fell to Chaos during the Horus Heresy and followed Horus in his rebellion against the Emperor, there are also some Space Marines who have abandoned their oaths in the millennia since, and while some will have joined the traitor legions as new recruits, some of them form their own warbands with their own heraldry, leaders and ideology. Particularly well-known one is the Red Corsairs, formerly a Space Marine chapter called the Astral Claws, but their chapter master, Lug Furon, desired more power than was afforded to him even as a Space Marine chapter master and declared himself the tyrant of Badab, precipitating a conflict called the Badab War, where several Space Marine chapters turned renegade, and although they were eventually defeated, the majority of the Red Corsairs were able to flee and have since become a major threat to the Imperium, operating out of a warp storm called the Maelstrom. And they're also the colour scheme that Mike has chosen for his Chaos Marines, so it's what you'll see in the next issue when we get the Havocs on the field. And then a bit about Chaos Space Marine weaponry and equipment. This is usually their standard Space Marine equipment, but it's frequently warped by the influence of Chaos and adorned with extra trophies and embellishment by its masters. So while their weapons are the same, they look like a sort of twisted parody of their Imperial counterparts. And that extends to their power armour in particular, which is usually heavily embellished. And sometimes it's not just their equipment, but even their bodies that are mutated by the power of chaos, creating creatures like the Obliterators, who have merged with their war gear and can sprout all sorts of deadly weaponry out of their very bodies, and Hellbrutes, which are twisted parodies of Space Marine dreadnoughts. And their vehicles are also similar, being dark mirrors of their loyalist counterparts, like the Land Raider, which is a pinnacle of a Space Marine battle tank, but in this case, a twisted representation. Then we have a short story where the Aeldari are fighting against some orcs, a Xenos species that lives only for war. And in the short story, the Aeldari are trying to counter an orc threat and rescue the spirit stones of some of their downed brethren. But they realise there are more orcs than they anticipated, and so the conflict escalates. And there's a little bit about orcs themselves there, which we'll learn more about when we start getting the Orc Combat Patrol in a few issues' time. Finally, we have the collection article for the Havocs. These are Chaos Space Marines who devoted themselves to heavy firepower, and in many cases they've been using their weapons for so long that they've started to meld with the weaponry themselves, becoming completely obsessed with using that particular weapon. So as usual, you can give them a background, record their name and then their deeds. And then we have their datasheet on the back, which we'll go over next issue when we will see them deployed for war, but there is also a picture at the bottom of each of the 4 heavy weapons to make it clear which one's which, so that might help you with the build guide if you're unsure. But anyway, I'll hand you over to Mike now, who will take us through some more of the core rules and into our game.
So as usual, we have more of the core rules to look at, going over the charge and fight phases in this issue. First up with the charge phase again, I'm just going to skim over this. Most of this we've seen up until this point. It works how it does in the tutorials. There's things to note that a unit is eligible to charge if it's within 12 inches or more of one or more enemy units, as long as it hasn't advanced or fallen back that turn. It is not already within engagement range of any enemy models, and it's not an aircraft. When you charge, you have to get into engagement range with every unit you selected as a target, and you're not allowed to move within engagement range of any units that were not a target, and you have to stay in coherency. And also, if your charge is successful, models must move into base-to-base contact with an enemy model if it is possible for them to do so. And just to note that when you charge, you gain fights first till the end of the turn. And some other quirks, such as charging over terrain. Models can move freely over terrain that's 2 inches or less in height, but if it is taller than 2 inches, you have to climb up and or down. So you can see in this example, the Von Ryan Sleeper is charging up a 3-inch high building, so it has to measure the 3 inches as part of its charge move. Then with flying models are allowed to charge over enemy models when they make a charge, and you just measure their distance they move through the air, rather than taking into account the vertical height. And then this page is just summarising the rules we've had up until this point and telling you which pages the certain categories are on. Then in the fight phase, again, it's all things we've mostly seen up until this point. So units can fight if they're within engagement range of one or more enemy units, or if they made a charge move this turn. All the units with fights first will fight before any other units. Remember, charging units get fight first. Also to note that after an enemy unit has fought and finished its consolidation move, it might bring more units into combat, and those units will also be eligible to fight. So first you pile in up to 3 inches. Each model that moves as part of a pile in must end up closer to the closest enemy model and in base to base with that model if possible, and must end in coherency and within engagement range of at least one enemy unit, otherwise they can't pile in. When units make melee attacks, you have to figure out which models can actually fight, and this is a little bit different. So a model can fight if it was in engagement range of an enemy unit, so within an inch, but it can also fight if it is in base-to-base contact with another model from its own unit that is also in base-to-base with an enemy unit. So this helps units like, say, the Von Ryan Sleepers or the Terminators, who have bases that are bigger than 1 inch. They can actually fight in 2 ranks. When a model fights, you do so using one of the melee weapons it's equipped with. If it has more than one weapon, you choose which one it uses. And then the process for selecting targets and making attacks, pretty similar to choosing shooting targets. As always, you should select all your targets before you resolve any attacks, and the attacking model can only target units that they are within engagement range with, or if they're in base-to-base contact of another member of their unit in base-to-base contact with an enemy unit. And finally, consolidation, which is far more complicated than it needs to be. When a unit finishes its melee attacks, it can move up to 3 inches, and like pile-in, it must end closer to the closest enemy model and in base-to-base contact if it is possible, and in coherency and within engagement range of at least one enemy unit. But if that is not possible, they can move towards the closest objective, but only if they would get in range of the objective by doing so. So if moving 3 inches cannot get them in range of an objective marker, they cannot move at all, and they still have to end up in coherency if they move towards an objective. And then the next page just has an example of the fight sequence. So you can see these termagants starting off with only 2 in base contact. Then when the termagants get to attack, they pile in. And that gets 5 of them into base contact, but also 3 more are in base contact of another termagant who is in base contact. 8 of them will get to fight in the fight phase. And here you can see after they made their attacks, they get to consolidate, and the ones that are already in base contact won't move because they can't get any closer. But with that, we'll get into our game, and we'll get that set up and get straight into it. So here we are deployed for Clash of Patrols. I've gone for the Space Marine Combat Patrol again, just because I played the Tyranid so much. And see on my left over there I've got the Captain on his own, I've got the Librarian in the unit of Terminators near Objective 4, and then the Infernus Marines behind the pink cargo container, line of sight blocking terrain. There you can see the Aeldari deployment.
So I've gone for the Aeldari because they haven't played Clash of Patrols yet, so we thought we'd try them out on this board deployment. From left to right, we've got one unit of 3 jet bikes, then the Guardians in the middle with the Farseer with them, the Wraith Lord, and then the other unit of jet bikes over on the extreme right as you see it.
Now we'll just roll off to see who goes first.
Well, I've won the roll off, so I will be going first. And I rolled my fate dice off camera and got quite a good roll on the first attempt with no 1s in it, so I'm going to keep that.
And we'll head into Aeldari turn 1.
So in my command phase, fortune actually failed. I rolled a 1, and my new fate die from the Guardians being on objective was a 3. And then we just moved up normally, so most of the Guardians are in range of the Captain, as are the bikes that have moved on to objective 2. The other bikes are moving behind the Wraith Lord, which has moved forwards, and they're all in range of the Terminators. I'll start the shooting with jet bikes on objective 2. They're going to shoot everything at the Captain, and he will be the closest target. So 4 shots with Shuriken Catapult, sitting on 3s with rolling 1s, because it's the closest. 4 hits, wounding on 5s, but re-rolling because of twin links. Try again, 1 wound, -1.
3 plus save, saved.
And the scatter laser, re-rolling 1s, gets 5 hits, and wounds on 4s for 4 wounds and no AP.
2 plus saves. Ooh. Failed 1, he's down to 5 I believe.
Then I'll do the Guardians, also shooting at the Captain. 8 of the Shuriken Catapults are in range, 2 of them are not in range and can't see anything else. I'll do Eldritch Storm, gets 2 shots, hitting on 3s, 1, and wounds on a 3, that's a wound.
4 plus, saved.
For the Star Cannon, I'll use a 3 fate die to make sure one of these automatically hits, and then roll the other one, which it did. And then it'll be wounding on 3s, 1.
4 plus again, saved.
And the Shuriken Catapult's only got 1 wound.
With a 3 plus save, which I made.
Then we've got the Wraith Lord that will shoot everything at the Terminators. Right Lance hits on a 4, nope. Might as well use my command point though, because I'll get another one next turn anyway, so I'm not going to need this one. No, it still missed. And the Wraithful Shuriken catapults did no damage. So finally I've got the remaining unit of Wind Riders, which will shoot at the Terminators as well. And the Terminators are not only the closest target, but they're also on an objective, so I get full rerolls. 4
wounds from the Scatter Laser with 2+ saves. Hey, you know what? I might as well re-roll it now because there's no big weapons coming in, I don't think. Hey, we saved.
And only 1 wound from a Shuriken catapult as well at -1.
With a 3+ save, which I made.
But that'll be it for my turn. I'm obviously not going to charge, so 1 wound done.
And we'll be on to Space Marines turn 1. So in my command phase, I'm going to put Oath of Moment on the Guardians, see if I can kill or offload them, seeing as they don't have Fortune on them. And I've moved the Terminators and the Captain. Terminators are definitely all within 12. The Captain should be within 12 of the Guardians as well, and hopefully he'll be able to charge on Objective 2. And then over here, the Infernus Marines are just moving around to head towards Objective 3 in a couple of turns. But in the shooting phase, I'm going to start with the Terminators shooting at the Guardians. So we've got 20 attacks from the Storm Bolters, including the Librarians. This will be hitting on 2s thanks to Fury of the First, re-rolling because of Oath of Moment, and 6s will be sustained hits. 2 1s that will be re-rolled into 2 more hits. So that's going to be 20 hits plus 6 sustained is 26 hits in total. Wounding on 3s due to the lack of Fortune. So 17 wounds in total.
I've got 6 who are in cover, but I actually need to keep at least 2 of them alive, otherwise the Star Cannon will end up out of coherency. So we'll allocate wounds to the people in cover until they're dead, 4 at a time to start with. These will be on 3s. 2 of them are dead already. 2 more in cover, 1 more dead. Keep rolling these 1 at a time until that one dies. I might as well use this 3 actually from the Fate dice to use up one of those. And then alive. Alright, that one finally dies. Then I've got 4 who are out of cover, so I need to roll on there. 4+ saves. 1 of those is dead so far. And then 3 more, and there are 3 not in cover. Oh, they all die.
Then I'll do a normal smite. Again, I should say beforehand, but I was going to do normal smite. D6 shots for 3. Hitting on 2s. I'm going to be greedy and re-roll them because I can because of Oath of Moment. See if I get any 6s. Oh, I did. 4 hits. Strength 5, so wounding on 3s. 3 wounds at AP -1.
So I'll use a Fate die to automatically pass one of those. It's on a 4 this time because we're in cover but with a -1. And then I've got 2 remaining, and these are on 2 Guardians who are in cover. And 1 of them dies.
And then 6 attacks from the Assault Cannon, again on 2s, re-rolling, 6s are sustained. No, you know what, I'll be greedy again. 5 hits plus a sustained is 6 hits. Wounding on 2s because it's strength 6 and no Fortune. 6s are devastating. Get that in the box. 1's devastating and then 5 saves.
And as we learned about mortal wounds recently, they're actually all applied last, so I have to do all the saves before that mortal wound is applied, so it might even end up on the Farseer as it happens. But I'm going to roll these starting with the heavy weapons platform because if the last Guardian dies, then the heavy weapons platform goes away anyway. It has 2 wounds and there's no AP, so it'll be on 3s. It's fine. It takes a wound, which I'm actually going to re-roll with a command point. Yep, and the final one fails, so it takes 1 wound, and then the mortal wound will apply and kill it.
So Terminator's done, going to switch over to the Captain. He's not within 12 of the Guardians, so he'll put his Storm Bolter into the bikes. 4 wounds out of 4 hits, so it's not too bad for the Captain.
I'm going to use a Fate die to pass 1, and then roll the other 3 on 3 pluses. We take it at 1 wound in total.
The Infernus Marines aren't in range, so onto the charge phase, where the Captain is going to charge the Wind Riders. He needs a 7, so 4 isn't enough, which he'll re-roll, thanks to his ability. A 6 isn't enough. And the Terminators, I think, are just in range of the Farseer and the 1 remaining Guardian, so I think they'll try and charge them. They're going to need something about like an 11. 7 is enough now, I'll use my command point, because you never know. No, never mind. Well, I can't complain about my shooting. Very disappointed about the Captain not getting into combat though, as we head into Aeldari turn 2.
Fortune was successful. The remaining Guardian and the Farseer need to take a battle shock test. I'm going to use this 5 to basically automatically pass, because that's a 9. And then everything has moved. Fortune went on the front unit of Wind Riders, as you can see there, who have moved on to Objective 3. The other ones have zoomed across so that they're in range of the Infernus Marines, which are over there as well. The Wraithful moving up towards Objective 4 and the Terminators, and the Farseer and the last Guardian hiding behind the terrain piece where they can see the Infernus Marines. So do some shooting, and we'll start with them at the Infernus Marines. We'll start with Eldritch Storm, which has d6 shots, and it is a blast weapon, so it'll be an extra one. So that'll be 4, hitting on 3s, only 2. I think I'll re-roll one of those because this is what's going to do the damage. Oh, no, still missed. 3s to wound. 2 at -2, but they will have cover from the point of view of the Farseer.
Yeah, I've got 2 guys in cover at least, so 4s. Made 1, failed 1.
D3 damage. 2 kills 1. And then the one Shuriken Catapult failed to do anything. So we'll have both units of Wind Riders, and the only target they have is those Infernus Marines. But I will do them one at a time because they have slightly less cover from one of the squads. So I'll do the one that's slightly further away first. More of the squad have cover from these. So with the Scatter Laser, it's not the closest target, so no rerolls. And 2 wounds.
I'm just going to have to put it on guys who are in cover because they're going to get shot at anyway. 3s, fail 1.
And the catapults get 3 hits. 4s to wound, re-rolling. Only 1 at -1 this time.
Cover cancels that out. Saved.
The other squad will do the Scatter Laser first. This time it is the closest target, so I can re-roll 1s. And 4 wounds.
We've got 1 guy in cover, so he's going to have to take a lot of Scatter Laser shots. He's still alive. Still alive. Dies. Oh yeah. Save the last one.
And then the catapults can re-roll 1. Still only 2 hits. 4s, re-rolling. 1, -1.
4 plus. Failed. Take a wound.
Finally, we've got the Wraith Lord, which will put everything into the Terminators. Right Lance. Hit this time. Wounds 1 or 2. It does.
4 plus invulnerable. Failed. Going to re-roll that. Failed.
D6 plus 2 damage, so it just kills 1.
Yep.
And the catapults, they hit 3 times. And wound once.
3 plus. Ooh, take a damage as well.
Finally brings us to the charge phase, in which the Wraith Lord will charge. Now we also remembered I do have an extra command point because of the mission. I would have done that on objective 2 to get an extra CP. It wouldn't have mattered because I didn't really need to use that command point for anything up to this point, but I would if I'd failed that charge, but I didn't. So the Wraith Lord has charged like that, and just to note that with the new charge rules we've got, I did have to move into base contact if I could, which obviously I could, so it will go into base contact with 2 models, and then it gets to fight. I'll use the strike profile, so I get 4 attacks hitting on 4s. They all miss. We will re-roll 1. No.
And then when the Terminators go, the one with the assault cannon can pile in around the Librarian, getting closer to the Wraith Lord, which allows his friend who was next to him to pile in into the space where he was. So he's in base contact with the Librarian, and now they can all fight in ranks, essentially, so I can get them all in. 12 attacks from Power Fists, hitting on 3s, 6s will be sustained. Ugh. 6 hits, wounding on 5s. 1 at -2.
1 at -2 is a 4 plus save. We failed, 2 damage.
4 attacks from the Librarian, also on 3s, getting 2. Wounding on 5s. No. So my command phase, I'm going to gain 5 victory points for holding 1, and I'll also use Gather Intelligence to get a command point from it. Terminators are going to stay in combat with the Wraith Lord, which I've put over the moment on. Captains moved up to take Objective 2, while the Infernus Marines are moving towards Objective 3. So in the shooting phase, we'll do the Infernus Marines first, and they're going to flame the unit of Wind Riders closest to them. 3d6 automatic hits. I'm going to re-roll one of those 1s. Try harder. That's better. 9 hits. Wounding on 4s thanks to Fortune. 4 wounds.
3 plus saves, I'll use one of these 4s to spare myself a wound. We only take 1.
And then the captain, going to shoot at the other unit of Wind Riders, just within 12, so 4 shots on 2s, and 3. 4s, 2 wounds.
3s, we're fine.
So we're on to the charge phase, where the Infernus Marines are going to charge that unit of Wind Riders in front of them. Just need to not embarrass themselves. 6 should be enough. So Infernus Marines all getting into base contact with the Wind Riders. Wind Riders are OC2, so I do need to kill 2 of them in melee to actually take that objective. Then the captain is in range to charge the Guardian and the Farseer. He might as well try, because he gets a free reroll out of it, and if I can tie up all the Eldar, then they can't shoot at me. So I need a 10 for the captain to reach the Guardians, and I kind of want to roll a 10, because if I roll an 11, I have to get into base contact and stay away from the Wind Riders, so woo. Oh, but we can re-roll for free, because he's a captain. No. So Infernus Marines get to go first. They've got 9 attacks, hitting on 3s. 8 hits, but wounding on 5s, because Strength 4 v Toughness 4, but with Fortune. That's still 3 wounds.
I'm going to roll these one at a time, because if the first 2 go badly, I might have to spend a fate die to make sure we don't lose 2, otherwise I will lose the objective. Take a wound, we lose a bike. We succeed, last one, succeed, so we just lose 1 bike. That was all the fights first units, so now we go to my pick for non-fights first, and I'm obviously going to do the Wraith Lord. 4 attacks on 4s, so using the strike profile again. Oh, he managed to hit once this time, and I'll spend a command point to try and get a second. Yes. 2's to wound, 2 wounds.
4 plus invulnerables. That's cocked.
Reroll that one.
Oh, saved. And I'll reroll that 2. Saved. So Terminators good to go. We're now hitting on 2s thanks to 3 of the first attacking the Oath of the Moment target, so we're re-rolling and 6s are sustained. I'm going to be greedy and try and get more 6s by re-rolling everything. Oh, it paid off. 5 extra hits. 17 hits, wounding on 5. 4 wounds.
4 plus saves, and remember I can't use fate dice on a Wraith Lord, and we failed 2, so it's down to 4 wounds remaining.
Then we have 4 attacks on the Librarian, also on 2s. 6s are sustained, and we're just going to re-roll everything. 5 hits, wounding on 5s. All 2 wounds at
-1, so 3s, made both. And the Wind Rider's got 1 wound on the Infernus Marines.
with a 3+ save, which I made. But that's going to be it. So we head into Aeldari turn 3.
So 14 was successful, I put it on the Wraith Lord, and the Wraith Lord does have to make a Battleshock test, and it has to roll it because I can't use fate dice on it. And it has leadership 6, and it failed. So it is Battleshocked. It didn't hold the objective anyway, but still. And the Guardian and the Farseer, they're not actually on the objective, so it doesn't matter if they fail right now, because I won't get the extra fate die anyway. They succeed. So I do get 10 victory points because I held objectives 1 and 3. 1 is secured because of the Guardians, and I will gather intelligence on objective 3, but in case I lose it later. And then for movement, the Wraith Lord will stay in melee. It's Battleshocked anyway, so obviously I don't want it to fall back. The 3 Wind Riders have moved over, so I get their 6 OC onto the objective 4. The other 2 Wind Riders who were in melee have fallen back, but staying on objective 3, and the Farseer and the Lone Guardian have moved to get towards objective 3, where they can shoot, and I will start with them shooting at the Infernus Marines. The Guardian got 2 wounds.
2 4+ saves, which I made.
Do Eldritch Storm, which will be d6 shots. 4. 3s. Oh, I managed to hit once. I suppose I can reroll 1 actually, I might as well. 2 hits. 3s to wound. 1.
5+. Failed.
Oh, d3 damage, but I'll just kill 1.
Yep.
And the Singing Spear, which hits on a 2. Oh, it missed. I'll do the unit of Wind Riders that can shoot the 3-man squad at those Infernus Marines as well, but they're not the closest target anymore. So the Scatter Laser got 3 hits and 2 wounds.
3+. Made both.
And the Catapults, oh dear. Only hit once, but did wound.
4+. Made it.
Wraith Lord actually gets to shoot in melee. It will shoot at the unit it's in melee with Big Guns Never Tire. We'll start with the Bright Lance, but hits on a 5. Oh, it did.
Ooh.
Wounds on a 2. It did.
4+ in honourable. I failed, which I will re-roll. And fail. Ugh.
Well, I'll just kill the injured one because it's d6 plus 2 damage. And the Shuriken Catapults get 2 hits. And a wound.
3+. Oh, I took a damage as well.
And I think I need the Farseer and the Guardian to charge those Infernus Marines, because if I don't, then the Flamethrowers are probably just going to kill them anyway. So I don't need a big roll. Well, 3 is enough. So they do get in like that, and obviously they charged, so they will be going first. I'll do the Farseer, 2 attacks with the Singing Spear, hitting on 2s. They both hit. I'll use one of these 6s to make sure one of these automatically wounds, because they're winning on 5s otherwise. I only get 1 wound.
3+. Failed.
Oh, it kills one. 3 damage.
Wow.
And the Lone Guardian actually got a wound with his 1 attack.
3+. Ugh. Well, we're on to the Terminators, and there'll be a bit of piling in. 9 Power Fists, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, 6s are sustained. We're just going to be greedy again. So it's going to be 11 hits. Really on 6s though, thanks to Fortune. We got 3.
Forced to save, and I can't use a command point because it's battle shocked. So it dies. Yeah, it would explode on a 6 with deadly demise. No.
I'm not going to consolidate the Terminators, because I'd rather they just sit there and shoot at things. And then 3 attacks from the Lone Marine on 3s, getting 2, and Woody on 3s. Getting 1. Can you punch a Guardian?
No, because I use my 4. Fate die 4. I want to take that objective and secure it, so I'm going to make sure he doesn't die.
So that's the end of Aeldari turn 3. I do need to do something about them before they pull out a big enough lead. We head into Space Marines turn 3. Battleshock test for the Lone Infernus Marine. I think he's okay. So Oath of the Moment is going on this unit of Wind Riders with 3 left on objective 4. I'm going to leave the Infernus Marine in combat while the Terminators are getting an inch away from the Wind Riders. The Captain I've moved up normally so far because he's going to advance to try and get on objective 1 and deny the Eldar that objective. I think Measured he needs to roll a 3+. Going to re-roll it because I can't see having further use. Yes, so he needed to roll a 3. A 2 is not enough to get him within 3 of objective 1. So he's just slogging around while everyone else does all the work. On to the shooting phase, where the Terminators will shoot at the squad of 2 Wind Riders. 8 shots from Stormbolters on 3s, 6s are sustained, no sustained, 6 hits wounding on 4s, getting 3 on the Wind Riders.
3s. Oh, we lose a Wind Rider.
6 attacks from the Assault Cannon, 4 hits, wounding on 3s, 6s are devastating. So that's 1 wound and a devastating.
So it will definitely be a wound and then another 3+ save. But which I failed, so it actually kills the Wind Rider.
And we've got a pistol from the Infernus Marine. Missed. Straight to the charge phase, he only charges the Terminators into the other unit Wind Riders. Hail up the rim. Bikes are inconveniently sized, but they are supposed to be in base contact. They're in contact with the bike itself, that'll do. We've got 9 Power Fist attacks, hitting on 2s, thanks to Fury of the First, and re-rolling because of both moment, and 6s are sustained. And you know what will be greedy? Ooh, I think that paid off. 13 hits, wounding on 2s. That is 13 wounds at -2.
So 13, 5+ saves. Yes, they're all dead.
Can't consolidate towards the Guardian and the Farseer because they're more than 3 inches away, but I can consolidate towards Objective 4 if I want to, but I'm not going to because I don't see the reason to. And then the 2 remaining Aeldari will get to fight.
So the Guardian's 1 attack hits on a 3. No. And the Farseer, I'll use 1 fate die to automatically hit with the 2, and the other one hits as well. And I'll use a 2nd fate die to make sure one of those wounds, and the other one will be on 5. No, just 1.
3+, made it.
Oh.
And 3 attacks back from my Infernus Marine that all hit. And wound on 3s, and they all wound.
I'll use the last fate die to automatically pass 1. These are obviously on the Guardian, so 2 left. 4+, yes. No, the Guardian dies. I'm going to re-roll it with a command point. So if the Guardian lives, then that objective is secured. Oh dear.
So just the Farseer left. We're on to Aeldari turn 4. And they are still in the lead, and I don't have that much time left to score points.
So I do have a lead of 15 at this point, because the Farseer doesn't need to take Battle Shock anymore, seeing as he's lost his friends, he's now by himself. Therefore I get 5, because I hold Objective 1 still, because the Captain didn't get to it, and I can also technically get another command point from it, not that that really matters. And then the Farseer won't fall back, because I need to kill that Infernus Marine in order to force a draw, basically, because if I kill him, or at least I need to not die. Well, basically I want to kill that Infernus Marine. Well, we'll see if Fortune works though, because that might be useful. It does. And then we'll have a Shuriken Pistol Shot, which hit, the Farseer does hit on 2s, and it will be wounding on a 4. We did.
4+ save, made it.
Then we have to go to melee, where the Infernus Marine gets to fight first.
3 attacks on 3s.
No.
Never mind.
2 attacks back. I'll use one of these 2s, they're not really to do anything. The other one does hit. 5s to wound though. No. But I've got loads of command points, I'll re-roll 1. No.
So I do hold 1 objective, hold Objective 4, so I get 5 victory points in my turn 4, and go up to 15. I need to do Battle Shock tests for the Infernus Marine, and he passes. So at the moment going on the Farseer because he's the only target. Captain moving to hold Objective 1. Terminators can sort of daisy chain their way along, so the man at the back is still holding Objective 4, while the others can potentially charge the Farseer if they need to, and the Infernus Marine's falling back. So we're just going to shoot, I'll shoot the Terminators at the Farseer. So we've got 12 Stormbolter shots hitting on 2s, 6s are sustained and re-rolling. And you know what, being greedy has worked out so far, so let's try it. One day it will blow up in my face. But not today. 18 out of 12 hits, wounding on 4s, because Fortune is on the Farseer. 10 wounds.
And 4+ invulnerable saves. And, we failed 6, so the Farseer goes down.
So there are no Aeldari models left, so in my turn 5, because I go second, I'm actually scoring at the end of the turn, and basically I'll just move the Librarian so that he's in range of Objective 3. So even if the Infernus Marine fails his Battle Shock test, I will hold 3 objectives and score 15, which will take me up to 30, and just about scrape a win. So yes, that will be a Space Marine victory. Been a little while since we've had one of those, I think, and we'll recap that game for you now. Well, that was our game for issue 35 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Not terribly well. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong, but thinking of the other game we played with the Aeldari against the Space Marines, that was when we played Archaeotech Recovery, where we started a lot further away. In this game, what really hurt me was the Terminators just completely obliterated all the Guardians in one shooting phase. But that was mostly because they were in 12 inches, and so got so many shots, and combined with Oath of Moment and the Librarian, they were really good this game, and so I think I could have done better by being a little bit more cautious and staying away from things. Having said that, I'm not really sure how I could have avoided the Terminators. I charged the Wraithlord into them to tie them up, and it let me down big time. Taking rerolls into account, it got 2 hits out of 10 attacks. I think I could have still made up for the loss of the Guardians if the Wraithlord had held on a bit longer, because with the manoeuvrability of the bikes and the fact that the Captain was mostly left a long way from the action, probably still have managed to get enough points. But yeah, I blame the Terminators, basically.
Yeah, they basically carried the entire game for me.
Yeah, which is what we've seen with the Space Marines, most of the games they've had, actually. If the Terminators do well, then they do okay. It's usually just their slow movement that lets them down. But in Clash of Patrols, where everything's mostly clustered around the middle...
Well, if the captain had made his charge, his re-rollable 7-inch charge, or his re-rollable 3-inch advance, I would have probably been 10 victory points up and you'd been down at least 5, so I blame the captain, really.
Yeah, that's true. We could have called the game earlier if the captain had managed one of those two things.
The rules for at the moment do say you can re-roll the hit roll. Technically means you can re-roll successful hit rolls, so fishing for 6s for sustained hits seems fairly reliable if you hit on 2s. Probably did get lucky with all the rolls, because it could go horribly wrong, but...
We didn't show it on camera, but I was the attacker, so I was able to decide who deployed first, so I saw where the Terminators were before I placed the Guardians. Maybe I should have just placed them on the complete other side of the board, out of range, but then I was afraid of the Infernus Marines, who were also actually quite good against the Guardians. Yeah. Basically, the Guardians are really fragile, and although their securing objectives is very handy, if it gets them too close to the enemy, that's not always a good thing.
Yeah, I think I just generally rolled well for saves till maybe turn 4. And also, actually, the fact that we know the proper rules for fighting, letting the Terminators fight in 2 ranks, probably helped them a lot. I mean, I had 2 of them in the 2nd rank fighting, which is an extra 6 power fist attacks.
Yeah, we have seen that actually in the past. The Terminators not being able to fight in ranks until now has held them back a bit, just not enough attacks to get rid of things quickly, but now they're even better, essentially, because of that. I suppose now that we know that you do have to get into base contact with charge and pile-in moves wherever possible, that can be sometimes a little bit limiting, because if you sometimes it means you actually want to roll a bit lower for a charge, because if you roll really high, you do have to get as many models into base contact as possible, which can mean you end up surrounding an enemy unit where you would have in fact preferred to have a slightly more tactical placing, and also it means you don't get free consolidate or pile-in moves if you can't get into engagement range or a range of an objective in the case of consolidate.
Yeah, we got the first part of the Havocs in this issue. I think the kit comes with 2 each of all of their weapon options, apart from the Reaper Chain Cannon, which only comes with 1, and it's probably intended that 2 of the poses are for the sort of underslung style, where the Heavy Bolter and the Chain Cannon are, whereas the other 2 are the shoulder-mounted style that the Las Cannon and the Missile Launcher have. Although you could probably fit the weapons to either of the 2 pose types. Magnetising them would be an extreme challenge, I think, because they all have separate backpacks for each weapon, and some of them, like the Las Cannon and the Missile Launcher, are actually attached to the model's head, actually attaches to it as well. Yeah, but otherwise, I don't think there's actually too much more to say about this game. If you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. And leave any comments, how you've been getting on with the collection and so on. I believe it has started in America now, fairly recently. And we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.